What's going on, everyone? So the Lakers had several really quality signings that I think can absolutely make an impact, right? Jackson Hayes, I think, will play a huge role for the Lakers over the course of the season and especially in the playoffs. He's a great pick and roll defensive big. Also, Anthony Davis is probably going to miss at least 20 plus games. Cam Reddish could be a real sneaky signing, especially at a vet minimum price with his size and his length. Gabe Vincent, I think, will be more consistent than Dennis Schroeder was last year. Dennis Schroeder's upside is bigger, right? Like when Dennis Schroeder is on, that dude is like a 25-5 guy, but he has these like hot and cold nights where I think Gabe Vincent will just be a solid contributor night in and night out and a little bigger. But Taurean Prince could end up having the largest impact on both sides of the basketball, right? This is a guy that is a legit defensive guy, 6'6", 6'7", can guard and defend multiple positions, can play multiple positions. I actually think he very well may spend a lot of time at the 2 guard. We'll see how that plays out. But this is a guy that could have a real impact for the Lakers. The Lakers basically swapped him with Troy Brown Jr., and he is, without a doubt, an upgrade over Troy Brown. This is a guy that has just great intangibles, is a veteran, not afraid of the moment, and I really do believe will have a big impact. But he was recently in an interview and talking about what he's excited for with the Lakers and his impact and stuff, and he's really excited about the defensive end, which is great to hear. And he talked about Darvin Ham and how Darvin Ham is a defensive-oriented coach, and he likes guys that play defense and play hard, and those are the guys he usually sticks with on the court. So here's what Taurean Prince said. I think it's perfect. That's my mindset as well. Taking pride in a person in front of me. Not only with the best player on the court, anybody I'm guarding. If it's a shooter running off screens or it's a point guard, I got rumble him up off a pick and rolls. It's just whatever it takes to try and get the W in that moment. Again, I love that. I love hearing that. Seriously, because that's what we need. We need guys that are willing to get after it, do the dirty work, do the hard work, guard multiple positions. If you're guarding Jamal Murray or Kyrie Irving, you're doing your best to do so. If you're guarding, Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown, you're doing your best to do so. That's what we need. His ability to impact on the defensive side, and I really think it's very likely that he could end up being in our closing lineup. Because the Lakers want to have Austin Reeves kind of close out games more and also play the point guard role. So if he's a guy that is kind of like their go-to down the stretch, him and Anthony Davis, I really do think LeBron kind of takes a backseat over the course of the regular season. He'll still get his 20 plus or whatever, but I just think with his age, the year he's in, and he wants to be healthy come the playoffs, he'll kind of, take a step back. We saw him already do that last season and kind of let Austin Reeves take over. Right? I mean, he was doing it in the Memphis series. So I really think, like, if that's the idea, you could easily have a closing 5 of, like, Austin Reeves, Taurean Prince, and now you got some good size at the 2 defensively. You have Austin Reeves who can defend as well, 6'5", so you got a 6'5", 6'6" guy. And then you either go Jared Vanderbilt if he's improved on his three-point shooting. That would be great. He can be your closing guy. Or Rui Hachimura, and then LeBron James and Anthony Davis. It's a really good closing lineup. You got a nice balance of shooting and defense because Taurean Prince, he's a guy that can shoot 38% from 3. He's still only 29 years old, so he's not like super old or anything like that. He's still on the right side of 20. This is a guy that I'm really pumped to see, and I was pumped that the Lakers were able to sign him to begin with. And, of course, you kind of want to say all the right things, right? It's one thing to say, oh, yeah, I'm pumped that I get to come in and be a defensive guy and this, that, and the other, and that's my pride and stuff. You see a lot of people say that stuff. But the difference is that that's kind of been Taurean Prince's MO, right? So I don't think it's something that he's just saying for the sake of saying it, right? Like, that's what he's been known for, a legit 3-and-D style player, a guy that can knock down the 3 ball efficiently. For his career, he's a 37% three-point shooter, but last year he was 38.1%. The last 3 years, he shot 38% or better. And with the Cleveland Cavaliers, he actually shot 41.5% on 4 attempts per game, which if he can get back to that, watch out. But he's also been very prideful on the defensive side. He's also a savvy vet that can have an impact and you can trust late in games. You could trust in big moments. It's a guy that wasn't afraid of the moment and hit big shots. I mean, he did it against the Lakers, right? I mean, this is a guy that just is you can trust down the stretch of games to make the hustle play, to hit the tough shot, to not be scared to have to figure out and navigate through this moment. And those kind of players are very, very valuable, especially when you're trying to win an NBA championship. You know, think of like the KCPs of the world, right? You got a guy in Taurean Prince who basically can be that for us this year and be that solid 3-and-D style guy. I think it also helps Taurean Prince that Darvin Ham loves these types of players, right? Hard-nosed, gets after it, plays hard, is going to do the dirty work. And I think a lot of the things that Darvin Ham would use Dennis Schroeder for, right? And use Dennis Schroeder to close out games and whatnot. I think you can have Taurean Prince, who is 6'6" rather than 6 foot or 6'1" or whatever. I think that really helps. Same thing with Gabe Vincent, right? Gabe Vincent is another guy. But if Taurean Prince can be a 6'6" version of that, then I think that Darvin Ham is going to play him a lot and is really going to stick with him, right? Like Darvin Ham likes to reward guys for just their effort and hard work, right? And loves to reward guys for just doing the ins and outs and playing the game of basketball, right? Darvin Ham says it all the time. I want basketball players. I want guys that play basketball. You know, you don't have to necessarily be great at anything specifically. I want guys that hustle, play hard, and work. That's why he used guys like Dennis Schroeder, right? Dennis Schroeder, don't get me wrong, he was undersized at times, turned the ball over, there was frustrating moments, but you never had to worry about his effort. He was always getting after it. He was playing hard, 24/7, 365. Austin Reeves, right? Austin Reeves was a guy that really blossomed and developed and grew and got after it, and it's because he earned it, right? And Darvin Ham rewarded him and eventually moved him in the starting lineup, and he continued to play well and continued to be that guy for the Lakers. And there were even arguments after the trade of like, man, the Lakers might be best with him off the bench, but Darvin Ham stuck with him in the starting lineup because of the value that he brought and the hard work that he put in for that. Jared Vanderbilt, same thing. The problem with Jared Vanderbilt was just his offense was an issue. But Rui Hachimura is another great example, right? Rui Hachimura comes in, great acquisition, new shiny toy. You have an opportunity. He's kind of a little rocky in the beginning. And Darvin Ham, you know, he ends up falling out of the rotation in a way, worked hard, worked his tail off, changed his shot, fixed his stuff, started getting after it defensively, and all of a sudden, he's right back into rotation minutes and playing a big role for the Lakers in the playoffs. And even Rui Hachimura credited him, you know, falling out of the rotation as part of that turnaround and part of that impact. So if Taurean Prince can be one of those guys, he's going to play, right? And the hardest part Darvin Ham's going to have is finding minutes for everybody, especially out on the perimeter, especially in the wing positions, because you got LeBron James. They want to play Anthony Davis more at the 4. So if you have Anthony Davis playing the 4, say 25 minutes a game, right, then that's 25 minutes that somebody else could be playing there, whether it's LeBron or somebody else, and then that means LeBron's probably playing the 3, so then that kind of puts a damper on it. So then you look at it and you're like, you got Cam Reddish, you have Taurean Prince, you have Rui Hachimura, you have Jared Vanderbilt, right? Like, how do you make enough playing time for all 4 of those guys? The best way he can stay on the court is to make it to where you can't take him off the court, right? Like, he's too good. He's too valuable. He's getting after it on the defensive side. He's shooting the 3 ball and knocking it down. Like, all of those things are huge and important. And if he's able to play through that and play to that level, now all of a sudden, Darvin Ham's figuring it out. And like I said, there's the 2 guard. He could play the 2 guard heavily. Out of all the positions, the center position, the 2 guard, you can make an argument for are the least depth, right? Now the Lakers aren't like desperate for a 2 guard, right? Because I mean, you have Austin Reeves, you do have Max Christie who can come in and step in, but he's still young, he's still inexperienced, right? And over the course of a regular season, sure, like, Max Christie gets some minutes. You want to find some time on the court for him and stuff. But especially come the playoffs, you don't want to have to lean on a 20-year-old kid to have to save you or have to play huge minutes, take over games, or, guard the best player on the other team or anything like that. That's why you brought Taurean Prince in, because he's a guy at 29 years old that has the experience, has the size, can shoot the ball, is an experienced, savvy vet that understands the ins and outs. Like, that's what you need. And that's where I think he's going to really earn his stripes. I really do think he plays the 2 guard heavily. I think he's a guy that comes in and he's the backup 2 behind Austin Reeves. And then that kind of frees up the minutes for Jared Vanderbilt and Rui Hachimura, right? Rui, I think, will split time between the 4 and the 3, and then same thing with Jared Vanderbilt. I think Jared Vanderbilt will kind of play the 4 or the 3 at times, and then, you kind of find minutes for him sparingly. But if he can be the guy that we need him to be, then he won't have problems seeing the basketball court. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think of Taurean Prince? What did you think of these comments as far as the defensive side? Are you in the camp of like, I love that, that's what I want to hear? Him getting after it, him working hard, him being a defensive-minded guy. I love hearing those kinds of things. As I mentioned earlier, you always want to hear those things. But it's one thing to hear those things. It's another thing for players to buy in and show it on the basketball court. But that's always kind of been who Taurean Prince is. Hard-working, hard-nosed, gets after it, is willing to guard the best player on the other team and do it to the best of his abilities. He's not some like super elite lockdown defensive guy, but he is good and he is more than enough. And through the defensive schemes that Darvin Ham has on the court, I think he's going to thrive. I really do. Obviously, his shooting is an added bonus as well. That really helps as well. But I think he's more than just being a 38% three-point shooter. He's a legit 3-and-D guy that I think will have an impact. But anyway, as always, again, love to hear your thoughts and opinions. Let me know.